Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is If She So Pleases. I wanted to do another chit chat video because I'm having a lot of fun with them lately. So I thought I'd just have a chat with you about my relaxer story and why I made the decision to be relaxed, how it happened, my experience, and why I will never, ever do it again. So I thought about creating this video because I've noticed that lately in the natural hair community, there has been so many new videos in the last year or so of people relaxing their natural hair. And so as I see them, they come up on my timeline all the time. I just started reminiscing about when I was relaxed, what my experience was, what it felt like, why I did it, and then also why I'll never do it again. A little background, from age 10 to 13, I think it was, or 10 to 14, I had locks. So I got my hair locked when I was 10 and I grew them out for 4 years. They were about this long, I think it was at the time, but I was just tired of them. I was tired of not having loose hair. I wanted my hair to be like smoother. I wanted to have variety. I wanted to have choices, which at the time I didn't feel like I had with locks. Now I think back and I'm like, oh, I should have just kept growing them. They would be so lovely by now. Well, they were lovely anyway, but they would be so long and probably around the same length as my hair, or even longer. And so I think back and I really regret taking them out sometimes because I would have to start again. I just unraveled my locks and I was enjoying having natural hair, but I hadn't really learned anything about natural hair before I took my locks out. So I took my locks out and I was treating my hair so badly. I used to wear like an afro puff to school every day, and then during the day, anytime where I looked in the mirror and I felt like, oh, it shrunk, I would take out a comb and I would just like rake through it to make sure it's like puffy and round again. And every time I would have like big clumps of hair coming out. And I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, yeah, that's normal. So I just kept doing it. Eventually, over the space of like 3 months, my hair went from like bra strap length all the way up here to collarbone length. And I think that's what really like woke me up to like, hey, you don't know how to take care of your hair, and you had the long hair you dreamed of and now you don't anymore. So it was basically time for me to learn. But at the time, I was learning on Keep It Simple Sister. You know, that Tracy used to have. And at the time that Tracy was a YouTuber at the time, I'm not sure she's still on YouTube now, but she was relaxed. And it seemed to me as well like the majority of women on Kiss or Keep It Simple Sister were also relaxed. So I thought as a 14-year-old child that,
yeah, so that's the way to get healthy hair, is to be relaxed.
And I thought it was amazing because you just, wake up and your hair is straight and you just go along with your day, and then every like few months or something like that, you get a relaxer, and then that was it. So I was like, yeah, I told my mom I want a relaxer. By this point, my mom thought I was old enough to make decisions about my hair, and I was doing my hair basically all the time by myself anyway at this point, because I didn't really want her to do the style she used to, and I was old enough to try and fail and succeed by myself. So I told my mom I really wanted a relaxer, and it didn't happen for a while. But I also remember sort of going to school, and at this point I had moved from London to the Midlands in the UK, and the demographic was so different, guys. Like, it was different. So in my school in London, I would say about half of the kids in my school were black. So either of like African heritage or Caribbean heritage. But when I moved up to Nottingham, there were about, I would say 12 to 15 black kids in my whole entire school. So I was just in a whole new world, really susceptible, really a fish out of water, not really understanding what was going on. The things they were talking about, I couldn't really like relate to or anything like that. But I also had a crush on a boy. And this boy was in my friend group, and I remember saying to him one day, hey, let's call him John. So I remember saying, and just John was Caucasian. And I remember saying,
hey John, do you think I would like better with my hair strut?
Literally, I said strut, and he
said yes.
But at the time, it was like my final straw, because I think even after my mum agreed and even after I saw the women on Kiss, I was still kind of teetering a little bit, because all my life growing up, I'd had cousins that had relaxed hair. And my mum would always say to me, that breaks your hair, it makes your hair short, it breaks it, it doesn't look good. And her words seemed to ring true, because in my school in London, the girls who had the long hair or the thick hair, they usually had natural hair. Some of them had curl patterns that were slightly more loose than mine, but some were like, 4A, and they had, a natural hair. It was the relaxed girls, actually, from what I saw, that used to have the really thin, broken off hair. And so I was still kind of teetering, even though I'd seen all these examples of long, beautiful and healthy relaxed hair on Kiss. What I saw on the internet and what I saw in reality seemed to be two different things. So even after my mom agreed that I could get my hair relaxed, I was still not sure about the decision. But when I talked to John and I said, do you think I look better with my hair straight? And the yes came out, it was like a final straw for me. I was like, yeah, so my hair's going to be longer, it's going to be easier to manage, and John's going to think I'm pretty, and everyone else is going to think I'm pretty, because I'm in this school where nobody looks like me, no one pays attention to me, no one knows what I'm talking about, and I think I will fit in better basically when I have hair like this. So I went ahead and I booked the meeting in at just a random auntie salon basically, and I went to get my hair relaxed. So there were several red flags at the time. My hair was about collarbone length when I walked in, and then it was about just under neck length when I walked out. And she didn't cut my hair, because she asked me if I wanted a trim, and I said categorically, no, I do not. So I'd basically lost another couple inches while I was in the salon that day. Red flag number one. So she washed and conditioned my hair as usual, as they always do. And then as she was applying the relaxer, she was combing my hair with a rat tooth comb. Now you guys can see my hair. My hair is not thin. I'd say my hair is like medium density. Actually, my hair was a lot thicker when I was younger. So it was super thick hair that she was just working through with a rat tooth comb with relaxer in it. So in a vulnerable state, she was just like combing it and combing it and combing it. And the relaxer was like all over my scalp. And it was just a horrible experience. I remember thinking even in that situation, that this isn't what was promised to me, because I thought that it was going to be, something far cry from all the horrible detangling sessions that I could remember going through when I was a child. I remember crying when my mom was working her way through my hair. And I thought that the relaxing experience, as well as after that, would be sort of happy days. I wouldn't have anything like that. So about a few minutes in, I remember I could feel the burning in my temples. And I was like, Auntie, my temples hurt. I was telling the lady. And she was like, oh yeah, I know, it's okay, we have to leave it for longer. By the time she washed out that relaxer, the way my temples were burning, oh my days, the way my temples were burning, I thought that my hair was gone forever. It was so painful. I thought that I would look in the mirror and have red blisters or something like that. But instead I looked in the mirror and I just didn't have any hair. I didn't have any hair there. So she washed it all out and my temples were thin, but the rest of my hair was all right. And I remember looking in the mirror, and my shock, guys, am I the only one who thought, looking at the relaxer boxes, looking at the little girls on the boxes, the women on the boxes and what their hair looked like, am I the only one who thought that when you relaxed your hair, it was just straight? Please tell me in the comments below if I'm the only one that thought that, because I really thought that when she finished my hair, it was going to look like some kind of silk press flat iron session. But no, it was just really stringy. It was still kind of curly, and it was really uneven, the pattern all over my whole head. And I remember thinking I thought I was going to be able to wash and go, but it wasn't even that. It wasn't really, when I looked at it, it wasn't really a situation where I would be able to do something like that. So I was shocked, but she blow dried it, and then she straightened it. And I remember thinking, oh, it looks pretty. It did look okay. And then she curled it on the end. She bumped the edges, bumped the end, sorry. And it looked cute. And I remember going out thinking, yeah, this is the beginning of my healthy hair journey. I'll be back in like 4 or 5 months to get it retouched and blah, 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 blah. But during that time that I gave myself to have before my next relaxer, I just decided that it wasn't for me. And how I decided that was during that time I was learning more, even at like 14 years old, I was learning more on Keep It Simple Sister, on Long Hair Care Forum, a little bit on YouTube as well. There weren't that many ladies on YouTube at the time, but I was just learning more about natural hair care, and everything that I was learning was pointing towards perhaps I might have made the wrong decision. And then with my own experience as well, it was so tedious, like washing and having to blow dry and straighten my hair every couple of weeks. Like I really thought I was going to walk out of there with like flowing hair or something. I don't know why I thought that, but I really did think that was the case. So it was a little bit of a shock for me when it wasn't. But anyway, I then realized that my hair was breaking as well all the time. So whenever I was combing it or whenever I was doing anything, it was just breaking. And while I was learning about natural hair, I realized that actually relaxed hair is in a more, fragile state than your natural hair is. And so I just decided during that time that I would transition to natural. And so from there, I spent about 2.5 years, I think it was, transitioning to natural before I ended up cutting off finally my relaxed ends. The reason why I would never go back to being relaxed is because not just of the actions of relaxing and how, the burns, the fact that I now know a bit more about what those chemicals are actually made of, and the fact that I don't think it's made for human heads, or the fact that the process, I would still have to blow dry it and straighten it to get the quote unquote desired results that I was looking for. And then I'd have to deal with learning and mastering 2 textures and things like that. But I think the main reason why I would never go back to having relaxed hair is just because of the why behind why I did it, right? Why did I think that was the only way? Why was the prospect of managing hair that looked nothing like what grows out of my head so appealing? Like why was it that the opinion of a potential love interest was the fact that sort of made me feel like, yeah, if I just had this one extra thing, I'd be worthy of their love, or I'd be pretty and things like that. So nowadays, I know, even going through on TV, now we've had like more natural hair representation. The natural hair community is huge and things like that, which is great. But even now, it seems like there's a sort of decline in the area, like more people going back to relax, more and more girls on the street I see with lace fronts and things like that. And there's nothing inherently wrong with these things, but I think it's interesting because obviously we're wearing lace fronts and we're wearing weaves and relaxing our hair to look like completely somebody else's head of hair, right? Completely somebody else's. If it was just about length or things like that, then we would see people with more natural hair pieces. But just in this kind of climate where still I don't think that the default for young black girls is to grow up thinking that their hair is beautiful, I do enjoy trying to be a representation of that. I do enjoy, championing having your natural hair, being proud of it, keeping it healthy, loving it, and trying to make it thrive. So that's largely why I don't think I will, I don't say don't think, I don't imagine I will ever relax my hair. Wear hair pieces, yeah, I love those. Wear wigs, probably, but they will most likely be in my natural texture or something close to it, not, a completely, Peruvian or Brazilian or something completely different. So yeah, that was my relaxer story. and how I became really disillusioned after I had my relaxer and really shocked at my experience. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have you ever had a relaxer, or are you relaxed now? Or if you're not and you haven't ever been, why not? I'd really love to hear your story. If you can let me know in the comments below. I do read them all, and though it takes me a while, I do also reply to them all. But I will see you in the next one. Thank you, everyone. Bye.